All right, all right, all right, all right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow, and I'm here to talk to you about another video on community understanding. As you can see, I'm still doing some finishing work on some bookshelves here, but I wanted to come to you and give you a little bit of understanding about community, okay? And the only way I can actually give you good, practical, live understanding is if I personally come in here and give you our own personal experiences over the years, okay? Let me give you an example, okay? When I made the sacrifice to move to, to buy and purchase some land, we had very humble beginnings. Myself, Sister Carol, and the saints here on the land, the few that there were of us. And in my very humble beginnings, I want you to understand something. That I myself personally, in the 2000s, the late 90s, and the majority of all 2000 to 2007, 2000, somewhere along in there, that Pastor Dow did not have running water in his trailer. As a matter of fact, one of my trailers only had a big old piece of plastic for a wall in the back. I didn't have any running water whatsoever at all in my trailer. And I lived very humble, a very contented, a very, very humble lifestyle for 9 years out here. We didn't have bathroom facilities in our trailers or whatever. But however, staying in codes because, sanitation is very important. One of the first things I did was build a nice big shower house out here with a male and female side. So while I didn't have running water in my own home, we did have a shower house to where we could actually use the restroom facilities, and we don't have to walk far at all. Modern restroom facilities where you have toilets, you have showers, you have sinks. So everything that we could do that people normally do in your traditional home, we could do in the shower house because that's just the way I started. And I lived like that for 9 years. It was a sacrifice. But we already had the vision. Our mind was set, and this is what we were going to do. Okay, so fast forward and moving on. Over a period of time, a few people joined in, and you have to understand that there are people that live on this community that has never put their rear end on what we call a makeshift composting toilet or pee bucket. That's what we call them around here. They have never did it because when they moved here, they moved into facilities that had running water, they had shower, they had a bathroom, they had a sink, the whole 9 yards. So there are some people that would never that live on this community that would never be able to tell you about this experience. There are some people that live here on this community that they never had any of these things at all, even prior to living on this community because they have always lived and saddled themselves with someone else. And so community elders and community leaders, I want you to understand something. That when people come to communities, see, I'm the face of Straightway, so people see me. And inevitably, when people come from that world, they're going to come out here. And when they come here, first, they're all excited. They're pumped up. They're full of joy. They understand the message. Now, the problem takes place when you have people that are disgruntled on the community. They're not expressing their concerns to you. They act like they whipped the program. But then what happens is that these people come here and then they hear the murmuring, the griping, and complaining of only a select few people, usually less than this many people right here. It only takes one sinner to destroy much good. And these people are usually very irresponsible with their resources and money. I mean, let me give you an example. Sister Carol and I, we had a nice home. We had 2-3 cars. Therefore, we know what it means to have children in public school. We have both our children went to public school, did excellent in the school for the time they were in there. We paid light bill, phone bill, food bill, clothing bill, car notes, car insurance. You name it, we've done it, just like anybody else out there. But there are people here that were out there that have never done any of that. And so therefore, they have no value or no appreciation for being grateful for the small things in life. And you'll see it reflected in their heart. Mostly when they come here because they feel like that they're slighted or that there's something kept back from them. So what they'll do is when they get offerings or get money in their hands, and you're going to deal with this on communities, Rather than taking the money and buying the things that they need, they waste their money on things that they want. And because they don't understand, they do not understand what it means to be responsible in life, because they've got an entitlement mentality. You're going to deal with that if you're not discerning up front with people who have an attitude to want to be a part of the community, because there are sacrifices to be made. Now, mind you, I told you from the very beginning of this video, I lived out here in a trailer, and as well as a lot of us when we first started, but almost all our facilities out here, every single one of them almost have running water now, almost every single one of them. And the ones that don't, before the end of this year is up, pretty much we're going to finish that off. The majority of them will, and we still will have a shower house. That's because we're increasing, because people are respecting me and have honor to the work that I'm doing. They come here, they physically see it. But what's troubling is when they get bit by the viper. I call it the viper. The people who are disgruntled, the people who are wasteful, irresponsible, ungrateful, unthankful, unholy. They will say, they will come and see, because you have to understand, see, now I live in a house out here in this community that I built with these hands. Myself, Elder Doug, and the brethren, we built this house with these hands. I've laid the block. I laid every block to my house. I poured the concrete and did it myself, the hard work. Elder Doug helped me frame the walls, run the electricity. I did the roof. I did. Yours truly said it. I did all that. But all of a sudden, these people contributed nothing, and then they expect to come to the community and live to the same standard that I do without any sacrifice whatsoever at all in their life, when they should literally just be grateful that they're at a place where they have a meal to eat and they have a roof over their head, clothes on their back, and shoes on their feet. And they're murmuring and complaining. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? That's what literally happens. And so what happened is that these people who are all excited when they hear me, they'll get here and get around these people who they're thinking have the same attitude as I do. They end up getting bit because their spirituality is not on the same level as mine. They don't have the same understanding. Remember, they're coming from the world, and they're used to offenses. And it's easy for them to embrace offenses, because all that is out in the world is gossip, slander, talebearing, backbiting, deceiving, just everything that there is. Nobody has nothing good to say about anybody. And they come here and meet up with the same spirit on just not the whole community, but only maybe 2% of the people in the community. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? And they've made no sacrifices whatsoever at all. They wasn't here at the inception of this community. They didn't start this community with the blood, sweat, and the tears and the sacrifices that we are. But yet and still, they'll turn and look at me and look at my living standard and conditions, or some of the other people who have been here a long, long time. And mind you, there are people who have been here a long time that while they're content in their living conditions, some of these people have moved in and only been here a very short period of time and have more in their house as far as amenities goes than the people that have been here. So it has to do with the heart. It has to do with the spirit. That's what it has to do. But I'm definitely working on the people, the saints. Myself and the brethren here, we're working on the people who have been here a long time. They are going to be first in line for anything when it comes to improvements, and especially when it comes to housing. And whether it be here or another community elsewhere, they will be first in line. The ones who have the excellent spirits, the one who has endured hardness as a good soldier, the ones who has made the sacrifice, just like I have, the ones who are grateful, thankful, and appreciative and holy, these are the ones that is going to have the best standard and living conditions as far as I'm concerned, because they have proven themselves to be worthy with an excellent spirit. So what I'm saying is when you people come to Straitway and you meet up with anybody, or you go to any community and you meet up with some people who look like us, but yet they're murmuring, they're griping, they're complaining, or they're, well, you know, we make do. Yeah, pastor has a nice house and everything, but we make do with what we got. And so we're blessed that, you know, that hypocritical type spirit like that. They're not disclosing to you the way I live, the way I carried myself prior to getting here. And why is it my responsibility to make sure that I provide a home and a life for everybody who decides to move here? Why? Because I let them here. Myself and the brother, the elders, we let them move here, so they're entitled to live the same living standards and conditions that we have? No, that's not so. They don't even do that out in the world. The world don't even treat you that way. If you don't go out and make a living, provide a living, and make money, you're not going to get the same living conditions and standards. There's a reason why that the CEO and the bosses in them, and I'm not a CEO. I live a very humble life. But there's a reason why that you don't have the same home as a CEO do, because he probably makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. You probably make $20,000 a year. But I don't never see these people murmuring, griping, complaining against them. And I can go on and on and on and on and on. So if you ever think about starting a community, and it's probably the best life in the world to live, because everything is here. We live in a quiet, peaceable, simple life. People come here, they see it, they experience the peace, they experience the spirituality that we have, the closeness, the unity. But it only takes one person that has a wicked heart of unbelief and a wicked spirit and a disgruntled spirit. And they always only get to tell their side of the story. And I usually have to hear it through the grapevine or a bird or something like that before I can explain my side of the story or the community side of the story, because ultimately what the devil is trying to do is to wear out your patience and to get you to think another way, to where you cannot trust in other people to get this job done. That's the reason why it's important to have continuity. It's the reason why it's important to have one mind. It's the reason why it's important to have one heart. Because, if you realize that that's your garden, it's not just the community garden, it's your garden as well. You would get out there and you will work extra hard to make sure that you're putting your labor in to produce food so that everybody can enjoy the fruits of their labors. But however, if it's Pastor Dow's garden, if it's Elder Doug's garden, if it's the community's garden and stuff like this, you'll drag it down. You'll go to jobs. You have to be looked for. People have to chase you down and stuff. And you're just an ungrateful, unholy person. And I don't mind telling you that many, many people have come and many, many people have gone from this community. And they are living their life back off into the world again. And their parents, their families, they all mocked them, because when they came with vigor. They came, we're going to get this done. But then they went back and they put their head between their tails. They didn't consider the war. They didn't count the cost. And now they're assimilated back off into the world. And you don't see anything about them at all that even resembles that they ever even had an experience with the Father. Now, I tell you, it's utterly remarkable and amazing, isn't it? So you watch out for hypocrites, community heads. And you pay attention and keep your ear. Things that are commonly reported amongst these disgruntled, lazy, apathetic, complacent, lethargic type people who have Satan in them. They don't have a testimony. You pay attention. You're going to deal with that. You're going to deal with that. You're going to deal with that, and it's just inevitable, because it's humanity. They deal with it even out in the world. So, and because the people come here and refuse to get the world out of their heart, you're ultimately going to have to deal with that as well. So the biggest thing about humanity, the community, is understanding humanity. That's the reason why I'm making these videos. Anyway, I hope I said something to encourage your heart. I've got to get this thing off right here before it becomes tacky right here. I hope I encouraged you and inspired you some way, somehow. Y'all have a wonderful day.